Salutations and fist bumps, folks. Welcome back to the grid. Wakanda Forever is a beautiful depiction of what it's like to live in a world post-T'Challa inside of Wakanda. It also does hit in real life because you completely feel the weight of not having Chadwick Boseman in the world, in the physical world. For me, it was like really going to a holiday gathering after a loved one passed, or for a general picture, if you want one of those, specifically thinking about, man, Kobe and Gigi are really gone and won't be making appearances at Laker games ever again. For as much as we were seeing Chadwick around Hollywood, this film is a real gut punch as a fan of his to know that it's not fiction this time. He's really gone. It also does showcase Namor in all of his different ebbs and flows and facets, taking the viewer of this film on an adventure inside the MCU that we've never gotten before. It has highs, lows, and everything in between. So strap in, because this is a spoiler-free review of Wakanda Forever. This is a spoiler-free review of Wakanda Forever. So I enjoyed the opening of this film. However, it was a little bit of a slower stretch for me that I wasn't expecting, although I got it. I understood that they had to do what they need to do to move the story along. It does give Chadwick his flowers and does an awesome job, or as good of a job as you possibly could in these circumstances, to send T'Challa off, or to tell the story of how Wakanda does send off the ancestors or the dead of Wakanda in this case, because we never saw that before inside of Black Panther, the previous Black Panther. So this time it's actually pretty cool to see that exactly how Wakandans deal with funerals and all that kind of stuff. Transition from celebrating Chadwick's life and the legacy of Chadwick and the story of T'Challa is inside of Wakanda specifically was not as forced as I thought it was going to be. Basically, going into the movie, I knew that they were going to have to put something together, package it, and make sure that it looked nice inside of the story, in terms of celebrating the life of T'Challa, and then also in turn celebrating the life of Chadwick Boseman. But I wasn't as disappointed. Again, it was a kind of slow moment. Again, I understood why they had to do it that way, but it wasn't as forced as I thought it was going to be. Basically saying, hey, we're going to do this because we have to, not just because it's a part of the story. But they made it a part of the story. It made sense, is what I'm trying to say. Everything just kind of flowed, and then from there we go into the main story, or the main meat of everything from there. So the grief that was felt inside of the beginning of the movie was partially because of the fact that they went to Chadwick's gravesite. The entire cast went to Chadwick's gravesite during filming. So the beginning of everything literally more than likely was around that time that they went and did that. So the grief was palpable at the beginning of this movie. So if you are an emotional person going into this film, grab tissue, because you're gonna need it for the beginning. Just saying. The action in this movie was up from the absolute beginning. Well, at least after the part where we needed to get through the telling of a story, or the beginning part of the story. But once things pick up, they pick up, and I mean absolutely pick up. Angela Bassett needs a nomination for this movie, and I'm screaming that from the rooftop. Bro, she killed in every scene that she was the main in, and specifically had a monologue in. She absolutely ate in every single scene. That courtroom scene, or whatever that was in the Senate, I believe that was, that scene, hands down, probably one of my favorites of the movie. There's others, but I won't go into too much detail there because that's going to get into later stuff. But That beginning courtroom scene with her laying down the law of what we not gonna do because what y'all thought y'all was about to do ain't gonna happen. No, fam. Yeah, she laid it down, and I'm absolutely here for all of that, bro. Angela Bassett killed, hands down. No ifs, ands, or buts. When we introduced Namor for the first time inside the movie, he's as powerful as you might have thought he should be, or more, actually, because Ryan Coogler pretty much said that inside of this movie, he's as strong as the Hulk and Thor. Or was that Thor and Hulk? I'm not exact. I got to remember what the quote was at this point. But the dude is absolutely bananas. Does exactly what he's supposed to do from the comics. He has the same powers that he has in the comics. As OP as you might have expected him to be. I'm like, man, that was the most enjoyable depiction of a character in terms of an older character, because Namor is very, very old. So in the grand scheme of Marvel lore, Namor is completely one of the first characters that Marvel ever came out with. So there's like the Human Torch and then Namor, basically. Dude is absolutely bonkers on screen. OP is not even the word. Coming out of the water, it's just like, look, bro, I'm here. Y'all not about to mess with me. And if you do, here's what's going to happen. Not what I think might happen. Here's what's going to happen. Man, look, I enjoyed every bit of Namor. And if you are a Namor fan, you're going to enjoy this too. I also enjoyed the storyline that dealt with the ebbs and flows of Shuri's reign or Black Panthership, whatever we're calling this. It didn't. I know there's some that may not have gone to a Black Panther movie to see Shuri go through all these ebbs and flows, but for me, that's probably my most favorite part of a Marvel movie when it's done right, and specifically a origin movie, because this is technically Shuri's origin movie of her Black Panthership, at least in my opinion. Because of that, it did what it's supposed to do. Like, if you look at any other MCU origin movie that is done right, and specifically looking at the Infinity Saga origin movies, all of those have a story that we have to come to grips with, or the character has to come to some kind of resolve about something. So let's say, for example, Thor 1 is a perfect example of something being lost. In this case, Thor losing Mjolnir and basically being deemed unworthy at this point. That's what I was trying to say. Brain just went to mush. But anyway, bro, looking at that from that lens, that's the best way to tell a Marvel story. And that's exactly what Ryan Coogler usually does. Well, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the ebbs and flows, the highs and the lows of Shuri, and seeing how she got to where she is in terms of being the Black Panther. Again, we all knew it was coming, so it was just nice to see it. And there's a payoff for it, basically. And for me, I'm glad that they didn't just hand it to her. Although it could have just made sense to just say, hey, here's the Black Panther, here's how we got it, all that kind of stuff. But it was good to see, especially knowing that the events of Black Panther 1 carry over into Wakanda Forever, and they have a real meaning that was nice to see. I'm also glad that we were able to see the mixture of how Shuri is going to deal with being Black Panther and how she's going to use these powers now that she has them. And in terms of defending Wakanda and making sure that, you know, threats stay away from Wakanda and all that kind of stuff. But also the way that she's going to do it is going to be different than the way that her brother and her father did it. Diplomatic, yes, but forceful, majority, more than likely. Hey, and by the way, are you enjoying this? Do you want to see more? Well, hit the like button right now so maybe YouTube might recommend some more of my content to you in your home feed, because you know that's how YouTube works and all that kind of stuff. So if you like this content, go ahead and like it. If you really like the content, go ahead and subscribe, please. Thank you. It's free. Now back to the video. And the heart of Namor is probably the best part of the telling of the story of Namor, in terms of like, obviously you want him to be OP, you want to see his strength and all that kind of stuff. But for me, I enjoyed seeing how the ripples of Namor unfold and all that kind of stuff and make him who he is in terms of, and in my opinion, he's an anti-hero. So how does he become that kind of character? What I also enjoyed is seeing the unraveling of his anger. It's not just one hi, I'm always angry. It's push me there, and then you'll see what happens. But if you don't, here's what I'm going to do. But do it. I'm telling you what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to show you exactly what I'm going to do after that. So I'm telling you, here's what button you need, you can push. And if you push it, you know what's going to happen, because I'm going to tell you. Like, it was more of a roller coaster of his immediate anger of, I hate the surface world, to I don't necessarily always hate the surface world, but here's the reason why I hate the surface world, basically. So there's a ebb and a flow to all of that. So every part of Namor's story was pretty on par for me. But I don't even know if they would have been able to do this, but I would have loved to have his homeland be more real, like less CGI. I don't even know if there's a way to do that or not, but I would have rather had that. Like, if they could have put people inside of like a tank or something like that and made it feel like they were like, I don't know how they would have done it, but if they would have been able to do it, it would have been dope. Just saying. It was still good, but I feel like it would have been better if they would have been able to do that. So we've talked about the beginning, we've talked about the middle of the movie. Now we need to talk about the end. And the end of this movie is absolutely crazy. Bro, from the time that we see the fuel of the beginning of the end to the ending of this movie, bananas. Absolute up. Win all across the board, in my opinion. You don't have to have that same kind of assumption, but I do. This thing went full throttle from 0 to 60 real quick, bro. Because of the way that the end ramps up so fast, it pays off the middle dragging points where they were talking forever. Well, so well. Absolutely crazy. Like, it was the payoff of a century of all of the Phase 4 movies and all that kind of stuff that I was waiting for. And bro, I was so excited to see what Namor does, and the way that they brought him full circle, the way that he is in terms of the comics, bro. Chef's kiss. You hear me? Absolutely. Yes. Give me more of that, because I was waiting for them to hit on certain things about him. And when it happened, I was so happy, bro. I was literally sitting inside of my chair and my wife was sitting next to me and I was just like this. Just like, bro, this is so good. Kid in a candy store for me when that payoff happened. Hands down. I enjoyed the revisitation of a specific character from Black Panther 1 that I was hoping was going to make a reoccurrence, and when they did, it again paid off in spades for me. What was potentially going to happen, or what I hoped was going to happen, and by the end of this movie and inside of the post-credit, the payoff was phenomenal. Again, we'll save the Easter egg for all of that stuff in the Easter egg video. And if you're not subscribed, please go ahead and do so you can see that video when it actually happens. Blurred Grid score here definitely would give this a 9.5 out of 10. But I was really engaged for the majority, partially, almost all of this movie. Some of it did drag in the beginning because of the way that they had to do things. But in my opinion, the forced parts of the beginning paid off in spades. By the end, everything was completely understood why Ryan Coogler did the things that he did to honor Chadwick in the way that he was. Basically, the movie is a beautiful depiction of a friendship, for one, because Ryan Coogler and Chadwick Boseman were friends. It's also a depiction of Hollywood's, or more specifically, the cast of this movie, their love for Chadwick Boseman and how much it was felt throughout this movie. Yes, it was a sad bookend to the legacy, knowing that you're not going to get Chadwick on any silver screen ever again, because if he was not going to be in this movie, obviously he's not going to be in any other. You're not going to get Chadwick on the silver screen ever again. And basically it became almost like all right, this is therapy. We gonna deal with it. We gonna be all right. So the trailer, the lead up, all the movies that coincide to Black Panther 1 and leading up to Wakanda Forever, it just felt wholesome. It made sense. It had the action that it was supposed to have. It had the resolve that it was supposed to have when it was supposed to have it. Everything for me was there. So, how do you feel about it? Let me know down in the comments. Do you like it? Do you think it was meh? Do you think they could have done some things better? What would you have wanted to see changed? In my opinion, I'm so excited to see the director's cut because I want to see what was taken out and how this movie actually even could have been even more dramatic and like heartfelt and all that. Man, I'm excited to see that. I can't wait to see that when it actually gets released. But what do you think? Leave that down in the comments. And, like I always do, if you do go ahead and leave those down in the comments, I'm going to respond to each and every one of them. So if you want to have a conversation about this movie with me, go ahead and leave the comment down below. Hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next video. Blurred out.